Hi everyone, my name is Angie and this is me, my natural habitat. Welcome back to another video. Um, Today's video is like a whole month late. I did not post. I didn't post the video for last month, so like I've been doing a video a month, right? That's what I told myself I would do. But I decided to push this project back, partially because by last month things are still not exactly like settled in yet. I still have things that's like outstanding, although small stuff, like most of my the big part of this project has already been done. So I mentioned a little bit in the previous video that some stuff has changed, and you can probably see from the mic here. So my setup has changed. I changed the entire table. I added some stuff. I mostly added some stuff. So today is a documentation of what happened. I've also noticed that it's starting to become like a common theme that every year there will be some sort of a setup change. So I think last year was when I changed out my table into like the melt-top table. I added monitor arms. I added like a camera, that kind of thing. So this year tables changed. So uh, let's see what next year holds. I have a feeling I know what it might be, but we shall see. So first of all, I changed out the table. So the mount-top is gone. Dining table is gone. I changed it to the IKEA gaming series. I have no idea how to pronounce the name of the table, so I'm just gonna put it like here. That's the table. I got it in white. So I actually recorded that whole like table setup in time lapse, but I think it's a little bit too messy and it took a lot of time to actually get everything in place. Like I took like a whole day just to get like the table done. Because I had to clear my existing table, I have to move it out because otherwise I don't have space in my room, and then I have to set the table up and then put everything back again. So that was like a whole day affair. So I will not show the entire time lapse, just like clips of it. So me clearing out stuff, getting things out of the way. There's actually like a mesh net at the bottom of the table for cable management that I chose not to use because I have my own cable tray, like just like a hook that I can hook on the bottom of the table, and it just so happens that the length of that cable cage tray thing that I have actually matched perfectly to two of the screws for that mesh net. So I reused that screw and now it's like secure underneath my table like that. It was quite cool. Cable management wise is still a mess. I have a lot of cables, partially I guess because of how much stuff I have on the table. So I have my main computer, which is the one I'm actually doing the recording on. Like this camera is connected to my main computer, and that's like what I use for my day-to-day browsing, light gaming, video editing, all that kind of stuff. And then I have like my old PC, which is currently purely for gaming. So like most of my games are loaded there, installed there actually. So that's actually connected to my secondary screen if I do want to stream. And then on top of that, I have my Switch. All my computers, consoles, everything is actually linked to a HDMI matrix switcher, which is an extreme overkill for a home setup. So what a matrix switcher is, it's a piece of hardware that is typically found in like event spaces, like fixed install event spaces. So what it does is it allows you to route any input to any output that's on the matrix switcher. So the one I have is 8 in and 8 out, because I already have 6 inputs by myself already, so I figured I'll just get the 8 in. And then I have 3 outs currently in use, my 2 screens, as well as the capture card that's on my main PC, for recording, for streaming, all that kind of stuff. So in the future, I might utilize it to go to like a TV that's going to be mounted in the room, or like even extra monitors that I might have. So that was why I bought the matrix switcher. It's an extreme overkill, but yeah, I'm actually like, that was money well spent in my view. Perfectly worth it. So on top of the matrix switcher, I custom made a power distribution unit, a PDU. So what I have is 8 port on the back for power distribution. Like it's basically a 13A 3-pin plug. but instead of like a wall point or like an extension tray that's sitting underneath my table, I have it rack mounted together with my matrix switcher. It's not necessary, definitely it's not necessary, but it's what I want, so I got it. And then what it does is, so that the powers out, the plugs are at the back and the front have the switches, so I chose what to on and off from the front. So essentially one button will control like a main setup. Or rather, the way I have it routed right now is that one switch controls my main setup, including my main PC, my 2 screens, my sound system. And then the second switch, which is linked to my gaming PC as well as my Switch at this point. So I have those separated out because number one, I don't use them often, like it's not like a day-to-day use compared to my computer, my main PC. Also because my extension trays are, I limited them to like 6 ports on one extension trays. So my 2 screens plus my PC plus sound system, that's already 4. So I wanted to keep 2 spares just in case like I have extra stuff that I want to plug in. I don't need to like turn on another switch when I'm at my table. Then came a problem with the PDU, the power distribution unit, the one that's rack mounted. Because it's in a rack, right, and your typical 3-pin plug has the wire coming out perpendicularly to your pins. So this does not work in a rack. It would in the normal, like a tall rack, but my rack is only 2 units tall and the PDU is actually shorter than the matrix switcher. So essentially I only have one rack unit of space to fit in a power plug, which does not work, right? So I actually went online and got myself one of these. So it's actually a 3-pin head with the cable coming out parallel to the pins. This would have worked perfectly for me, but these heads are extremely big. So I can't actually put 2 side by side on the power display unit itself. It actually eats into its neighbor. So I had to put like in, basically I skip one every single power I put, which was a little bit annoying for me. So I tried to find like the US version of this head because like US pins are actually smaller than UK's. I don't know why, but like even the 3-pin versions are like a lot smaller than the UK head. But it didn't work because the 3-pin version of the US head is only available in 16A. This is by default a 13 amp plug. So the 16 amp doesn't work on a 13 amp. It does not fit. So that didn't work. And then I decided to over-engineer. So this is the part that actually has been taking up the most time in this entire project, which was custom making my own 3-pin heads. So this is how it looks like. Thank God my dad's an engineer. He knows how to use like the 3D modeling softwares. I've returned all my 3D knowledge to school. I learned it in like Polytechnic when I was learning like character 3D modeling and all those for animations, but I returned everything to school already. My dad, however, uses it on a day-to-day basis because he's an engineer. So he could model everything to scale, and this is what we ended up with. So what I could do is essentially take the internal parts of a 3-pin plug, fit everything in like this, connect the cables, close it up, and then it will be a functional 3-pin head. So currently I have already fitted one at the back. So this kind of works. We went through a lot of iterations of this. I think I have like 4 or 5 versions of this model by now. We went through many like edits and adjustments to really get what I want. I think even at this point I still need to make like really minor adjustments. Like the whole model is just like, especially the bottom part, it's just like 1 mm too thick. So when I'm trying to fit it in, the pin aligns, everything works. Like I could plug the socket in properly and I will have power. Like this whole setup is run on one of this at this point, but it's just a little bit too thick at the bottom, so it's kind of pressing on my shelf. the rack unit that I have, the rack shelf that I have. I think that's like the final adjustment that I need before like I print like 8 of these for my PDU, because my PDU can support 8 different power strips. So this has been like the biggest pet projects I've done in a while. I got one of those like peg boards, like those IKEA peg boards, to hang at the side of my table with like trays and all those to put things that I kind of go to but not that frequent. So like a vanity mirror, my mask is there. I have like a travel pouch, like a cosmetic pouch. It's also there. And then the other major change is I got this. I caved and I got the Elgato low profile microphone arm. Because after I changed my table, so this particular table is actually like a whole 30 over cm longer than the melt top. Like the melt top is 125 in width. This is 160. So it goes into my shelf, which means I couldn't mount that overhead mic arm. I have a bookshelf by my table, you can see in the time lapse. So it actually covers like, so after the table goes in, right, the mic arm becomes too tall, so I can't actually mount it on the edge of my table anymore. It doesn't work if I mount it to the side where I'm sitting, because the mic arm doesn't swivel nicely, and I couldn't close it up, and it's not as compact. I couldn't close it up properly, so I caved. I bought the low profile Elgato mic arm. I got it on offer though, so it was like 90 something Sing dollars. I think it was 95 or 98 Sing dollars. Usual price was like 120 something. So yeah, so I got it at a steal. So this has been like a big lifesaver for me. So now what I do is, if I don't need my mic, I just push it away. And it's fine. Like, it will just stay there. And it's quite compact. The way I have everything set up, I can't exactly close up the arm completely, but it just sits nicely next to my screen, doesn't block anything. And then I could still like put stuff around it, and that's fine. So that's another one. The other thing that I really like about this desk is that there's this like mesh at the back, this grill. So what they say you could do is, the tabletop has like a cut-in portion that you could choose either to place it on the side that you are seated at, or flip it around and have it along the side where the grill is. So that now becomes like a cable management area, and I could fit like monitor arms into that space. So my monitor arm is now currently mounted there, my microphone arm as well. But the problem was I couldn't find a good spot to mount the stand that is holding my camera up. So that is mounted at the back where the grill is, which it has like a metal beam actually across the entire, not say circumference, but near the edge of the table. So the grill itself, you can mount like clamps on the table. Like, I think there was a lot of I think this was something that a lot of people were concerned about, like, can they actually mount a monitor arm on the mesh? You can, because it is supported by a metal beam, and it's like quite a sturdy metal beam. The grill itself is very, very flimsy. So I have my shelf, right, that is on my table, and it's still here, and currently it's holding my rack, which is actually really heavy. So the rack itself is made out of wood and metal, so that's already like weight. The matrix feature and the PDU is not light, so that whole thing is actually really heavy. So initially when I put the shelf standing on the grill and then I put all my stuff up, right, it was, I can see like a indent on the grill where the leg was pressing in. So what I ended up doing was I got one of those monitor arm support kind of thing, like a metal plate that basically you're supposed to put underneath your monitor arm. I got one of those for my monitor arm, and then I bought a second one to use as a cushion for the legs of my shelf. And then moving on from that, I built my own server. So I've been storing all my stuff on like hard disk, not even SSD, hard disk, because it's cheaper. And then I kind of started to run out of space, and then I wanted something that I could access when I'm out of my home, like when I'm either out or when I'm overseas even. So that kind of led me to get my own NAS. So I bought the Synology 920 I think it was a 920, it was a 4 bay. So I have 4 16TB hard disks inside now. I did mine in RAID 6 though. The one that allows 2 disk failures, but it's not a direct copy of another. Because from what I remembered, I think it was RAID 10, which is a direct copy of each other. If let's say 2 disks were to fail in 1 copy each, you lose the entire you lose all your stuff in your NAS. So I went for RAID 6 instead, which is 2 disks failures. So any 2 disks fails, there is still chance of recovery. Although I have to say, NAS is not supposed to be a fail-proof backup. You are still supposed to have a secondary backup on top of a NAS. So my old hard drive that has run out of space previously, so now it's empty, right? Everything went to my NAS. So now I'm using it to store the more important stuff, which is like my documents, formal documents. And then I also have this like monitor riser thing that's underneath my camera. So it's holding my it's holding 3 different keyboards now. 2 keyboards plus a micro pad. So what I normally do is the bottom keyboard is linked to my main PC. So that's the one that I use day to day, is the one that I customized from Drop, the control keyboard from Drop. And then I have a micro pad that I got from China that is linked to the gaming PC. And then on the second level, I have the Logitech G915, which is also linked to the gaming PC. So usually when I game, I don't need the full keyboard. I just need like the left side of the keyboard, right? Because like WASD is there, Control Shift, everything is there. So I have that program on a micro pad, and then when I'm gaming, that's all I'm using. If I do need to type some stuff, I just pull out the full-sized Logitech keyboard, and then just type what I need. And then I noticed it got really dusty because I wasn't using it like very frequently, right? So I ended up getting like one of these, which is like a cover for, so this one is made for the G915. So you can see it's like, ooh, dusty. So you can see it's like with all the cutouts and everything. And then for the micro pad, I got one of these covers instead, these acrylic covers. This one fits perfectly on the micro pad. So it just covers up the keys to keep the dust out and make it easier to clean also when it gets dusty, because my room is like a desert. It's just dust everywhere. I have no idea where they come from. Then one more thing that I actually changed for my whole setup is I added an external on-off button for my main PC. I wanted to add it for my gaming PC as well, but because it's like a custom-sized chassis, so even the motherboard was customized, so I couldn't find where that power switch was. So this is what it looks like. It's just a switch. You can put in your own like keyboard switches even. So this is the Echo Ocean Blue, which is what I have on the keyboard I have in office. So what it does is it comes with a cable that you connect to the pins, the power pins on the motherboard, and then it will work. So this is what my one looks like. So it's currently connected with like a cat paw keycap. So by right, when you use the external switch, right, and then because you have to replace that particular cable that's connected to the pin from your chassis, the button on the chassis wouldn't work. So what I instead did was I got one of these, which is a 2-pin to 1-pin cable that let me use both the chassis switch as well as this external switch. The only problem with that though is that because this cable is like it's not meant to be part of a PC, right? So there's no good way to run a cable out. So what I did was, since I got a Lianli O11 Air Mini, so the back actually is like a honeycomb pattern grill. So I just slip the cable through one of the openings, and it's worked for me so far, so I shall leave it as that. So yeah, this is the update on what has happened to my setup so far. It's still not done. I started this in mid-December last year, so it's been like 3 months. I'm still left with the 3D printing of the 3-pin heads, but I think other than that, I'm actually really satisfied with this. Definitely a overkill setup for home office, but it's what I wanted. So I'm actually really happy about this. Like it cost me a lot, but I'm actually really happy what I have going on now. I think as um, AVL professionals, we have a different standard of what we want in our house. Because after I got my matrix switcher, my colleagues were like, "What do you need there for your house?" And then like a few months later, she was like, should I buy a matrix switcher?" So yeah, we have different requirements and criteria for what we have in our home. Yeah, so thank you for following along this journey. More to come because I'm already foreseeing things that I will be changing soon. So more to come, definitely. I will try to get back on track with my monthly video again. I do have things that's already planned, like bought and already planned. So look forward to that. I'll see you in the next video.